Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Welcome, Bruce.
Hey, David. How are you tonight?
That was a boring game.
Sure was.
I was just waiting for it to end so I'm watching this show about Kevin Costner plays these guys hunting down these criminals, Bonnie and Clyde, on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Good movie.
Is it?
Can't wait to get back to it. Yeah, Woody Harrelson and Kevin Costner are the grizzled old Texas Rangers.
Oh, okay. Woody Harrelson.
Yeah. So that's what I'm looking forward to doing. So let's just keep this short.
Let's keep it short, eh? Not much to talk about tonight.
What's your good This is the Two Good Things, Two Bad Things, and Two Numbers podcast about the Oilers' 6-2 loss to the Colorado Avalanche. An absolutely boring game. What was your good thing?
I'm going to pull the one good thing out of that game. I'm not sure what I'm going to leave you, David, but Mikko Koskinen, the one save he made off of Nathan MacKinnon when he did basically the backstroke when he was down and out on one side of the net and MacKinnon shoveled in the other side, and he just did the old Dominic Hasek throw the arms back, and he literally pulled that sucker right off the goal line and swished it out of the net. And with the Oilers leading 2-0 at that time, there was maybe slight cause for maybe this is a game where the goalie steals one. But
the ref called a couple stinker penalties on Malone, I thought. Like, you know what? I don't want to complain about it too much because the Oilers were never really in that game, but come on.
The rule's the rule on stepping out of the box. I've seen it. It gets called about once or twice a year. And the puck came to him, and he would have had maybe a breakaway. So he tried to play the puck just as he was coming out. And he was 1 second too anxious. And didn't you know, I mean, I was 100% sure that Colorado would score on that third power play. And it took him about 20 seconds, and the game was 2-1. And I said to my wife, here we go. And, 3 minutes later, it was 3-2, and they just kept on piling it on. And Edmonton really had... other than, I guess, a few minutes early in the third, where they pushed back a little bit, but I wouldn't say they exactly tested Semyon Varlamov with a barrage of rubber or anything. But they did at least generate some zone time for a bit, but they just didn't have it. There was two teams with two different incentives tonight. Colorado had to win that game, and Edmonton just had to survive it and get the hell out of there. And that's basically what they did.
I felt sorry for the Oilers having to play that game. I mean, they're just you can just see the players.
Their heart wasn't in it, eh?
Frustrated and tired of this. And so my good thing was, let me just check. Here, Bruce. Yeah. It's Lucic's goal. But it's not the goal itself. Nice that he went to the front of the net and actually got a stick on the puck. But Matt Benning has had a number of plays in the last month or two where he's really figured it out because he's a smart hockey player. As soon as the puck comes to you, just fire it on the net. Get it on the
net. And on the net, yeah.
He's done it a number of times. It's resulted in great scoring chances and goals for the Oilers. Good for Matt Benning for figuring something out to contribute to the attack. It's more than most of the other Oilers defensemen have done, although Nurse managed to squeak one in there. That was a really lucky goal. But good for Matt Benning. Smart player, and I don't know if he's going to be with the team next year. I would likely, if I had my druthers, I would move him and Russell off the blue line. But he is I think he is an NHL player, and that was a good play.
Yeah, well, he's been bringing it. Every game he seems to have about two good one-time shots off of the point, and they almost always seem to be on the target, or else every once in a while he shoots one that's just off the net, but the rebound comes off the boards, and that creates trouble because he keeps it down and he doesn't just lob it into the goalie's crest or glove. Like he is actually he's actually got a fairly dangerous because it's a one-timer, and the forwards are starting to look for him. They've been setting him up a little bit more the last little while, where I think they're really aware of this is a legit option where if I go back to the point, he's going to fire a hard shot on net. and something
He
might
and
happen.
Klefbom are the only ones you can really count on doing that. Larson's not bad at the point, but he and Nurse tend to overhandle it and not get much done. Sekera, the shin pad assassin. I mean, he's a good player, but he doesn't have a great game from the offensive blue line. So, Bruce, your bad thing.
Well, my bad thing is the decision of Ken Hitchcock to go back to Mikko Koskinen in this game. I wrote about it in the game day post because I didn't agree with it then, and I still don't agree with it. And I would suggest that what we saw in the game kind of backs that up. That guy, I mean, he came in as a backup goalie. He sat and watched the first 8 games of the year before they finally gave him one. He's had little runs as a starting goalie. Then all of a sudden, in the last 50 days, they played 25 games, and he started 24 of them. He got sick one game. He missed the one game against Toronto, and otherwise they keep going back to the guy. And the trouble is that he struggled mightily in back-to-backs. And this is the 5th back-to-back. The only time he played well in the back-to-back was when he got an early hook in the first game. And then he got, and then he came back sort of refreshed and motivated the second night. But the other 4 games where he played a full game the first night and they brought him back in the second night, his save percentage is .833, .826, .824, and tonight .793. And I'll surprise the hell out of you and say he went 0-4-0 in those games. And what in the heck is the coach doing? Heaping that kind of workload on. Like, I don't even care about Anthony Stolarz. All I cared about tonight was I thought the goalie deserved a rest, and they didn't give him one.
I read on Twitter, and this is just, I think it was just a rumor, but Stolarz might be a little bit hurt.
Oh, yeah?
That's true or not.
Well, that might explain it.
They think Koskinen is Glenn Hall. They're soon going to ask him to play without a mask.
Huh. Well, he sure had trouble with his skate tonight. Holy moly, I've never seen a goalie go to the bench so often to get his skate repaired as Koskinen did. And you know what? He damaged his skate on that diving save I described earlier. And by the time he had a new skate installed and he was happy with it, he'd given in 3 goals. And I think it distracted him at minimum, or maybe technically cost him, some slight positioning or something. Who knows? But he was never happy with it. And you could see even during the play, he was always looking down at his skate.
I'm really rooting for the guy. I mean, partly because I'm an Oilers fan, but I kind of like him. There's something about him that I like. And I think it was because after one game, maybe the last time he played back-to-back and he just got shelled, he just took off his mask, and I think they had pulled him to the bench, and he was just beat red. He was just embarrassed and upset and mad. I just really felt for him at that moment. Like, this guy, you could just see he just like all those emotions were going through him, and I really felt for the player. I mean, there are moments where he looks fantastic.
Yep.
And there's stretches, actually, and we've even had games.
We even had like weeks,
series of games,
full week of games where he was.
So I like the play. I'm rooting for the player. It's not like I have this, after a while you get so sick of some players, you just can't stand to see them, right? But he's not on my list. He is. When you go on Twitter, you can see he's certainly on some people's list in that regard. I'm just so mad at him. I think, again, it's one of these situations where they're mad at the contract. They hate the contract so much that they just savage the player repeatedly. This is an ongoing thing that we see on Oilers Twitter. It's just been endless. We even saw it with Draisaitl to some extent. I mean, it's just the madness extended there, and it's a really unfortunate habit of madness. I would suggest is they can never separate that contract because they need to be. You
got to be able to do that. You got to be able to do that.
What's that?
You got to be able to do that. The player's the player, and the contract's the contract. Contract's on the GM. You want to savage somebody for the contract? Well, I got a real good place to look. The fact that he's on my dartboard at the moment.
Not your clipboard. If he was on your clipboard, you'd be assaulting him on a nightly basis in effigy. My bad thing. Okay, this is a weird. Maybe it's a little bit of a weird one to pick, but it's because it's on the 6th goal against. By then, the game's over. But Lucic,
Yep.
Bruce, like of all the things with Milan Lucic that we were sold kind of a savvy veteran hockey player who was a two-way hockey player and a leader. And what as much as like I might even be okay with Lucic coming back as a fourth line winger, like in a Matt Hendricks role, if he could bloody well play the Matt Hendricks role.
Yeah.
But he doesn't hustle hard enough on defense. He hustles in the offensive end.
He does.
Like Matt Hendricks right now on the offensive end, and he's tough. But I don't think he can kill penalties like Hendricks does.
No,
and
never has.
Defensive coverage has always been, since the start, he's been one of the weakest defensive wingers in terms of leaking goals and scoring chances against. And again, we saw it on that 6th goal where Russell and Chason are losing some battles in the corner. And of course, Nurse gets lured into the corner, as will happen with Darnell Nurse, leaving the player open in the front. And Lucic doesn't cover him either, who's right there. He doesn't follow the man. And it was just so often, Bruce, this is the case with Milan Lucic, where he doesn't follow that man into the slot, doesn't cover him. And on the back check doesn't cover him. And it's like a brain glitch or lack of effort. And did we see it twice tonight, or was it just the one?
He scored a goal tonight, so that gives him a mulligan to give it back. No, really.
So anyway, that's why
he did play I thought he played a pretty strong game, but that goal against is going to dock his grade down 1 from what it might have been. Let's put it that way. I still haven't gotten that far in the grading process, but not that I'm wasting a lot of time tonight. I mean,
yeah,
that's one of those kind of mail it in efforts, and I'm going to be abrupt.
Milan Lucic, consider yourself docked.
Yeah,
docked, man. You've been docked. You deserve it. All right, my number, Bruce, is 10.
Okay,
that's the number of Oilers who played tonight, who I think should be back on next year's team.
Wow.
And that's giving Chason and Gagner 0.5 each.
Oh yeah.
Because I think I want one of them back, but I'm not sure that I want both.
It'll be Gagner then, because he's assigned one.
Yeah, I guess so. Certainly not Chason an overpay. I mean, Chason, he's got a lot of goals this year, Bruce. His scoring, his points per game at even strength is in his 4th line level. So if he's paid as a 4th line guy with a bump in pay because they put him on the power play, he does well there, I'm okay with that. Anything more than that, don't bring him back. He and Gagner together, like you can have a few slow wingers, but two really slow veteran wingers in your top 9. I'm not a big fan of that, and I would so like one or the other. And I guess you're right; it would be Gagner, and that would it's probably, unless Chason's willing to come back for like $1 million, less than $1.5 million per year. So, and I know he's got lots of fans here who won't like in Edmonton who don't want to hear that and think, well, you can't let a veteran go who scored that many goals. But I think you can, especially if there's an overpay and especially if your team's really lacking in speed.
And speed, yeah.
So 10, that's my number.
Okay. My number is 25. And that's now the number of games this season that the Oilers have lost by 3 or more goals. 25 games that they've been blown out of the rink. And I have not compared that to other teams, but I know it's very, very high. I mean, they've only played 80 games, right? They've lost, they're 34, 37, and 9. And literally 2/3 of those regulation losses have been by 3+ goals. So when they get beat, they get beat. They've been pretty good in the close games, but
that's kind of a weird stat. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
That's a good
one. A lot of them, most of them exactly 3 goals. They lost a ton of games, 4-1 and 5-2, for whatever reason. But they've
which in the modern NHL is a lot of goals.
Yeah, you're getting soundly beaten when you lose by 3. I mean, that's a clear loss. My friend Scott Reynolds used to say, he used to differentiate between losses and clear losses, which he called 2 or more goals.
He's one of the missing people of the Oilogosphere, Scott Reynolds, such a fine hockey writer.
Yes.
And I wonder maybe he's on the Oilogosphere under a pseudonym. There's people who have come and gone, like
yeah, no, I think he's one of those. Like, he had other things going on in his life, and I think he probably just moved on, at least from the writing part. I'd imagine he's still following the team.
Probably he is.
Most of us are masochists that just can't give it up, no matter how many times they beat us around the head and neck.
What, like Derek Zona? Does he still tweet or blog?
I have not heard from Derek for a long time.
We miss him. Yeah. All right, Bruce.
Said all I'm going to say there. Thanks for listening, everyone. 2 more games Thursday at home against San Jose, and Saturday in Calgary.
And I'm really looking forward to the end of the Oilers season. Mm-hmm. So we have all the time in the world to focus on the Bakersfield Condors, and I'm genuinely, I don't know, I guess stupidly, why am I so excited about this? But I just am. So I'm not gonna analyze it too much. I'm just really keen to watch that team play, and I hope that they win at least one round, and maybe 2 or 3 or 4. That'd be fantastic.
It's starting to come down to earth. They've lost 2 in a row now in regulation for the first time in a long, long time. They got beat 3-1
they're missing a lot of players.
Yeah, of course.
Patrick Russell's been hurt, and I don't know if he's back yet, but Kyler Yamamoto's been in and out of. Boy, Yamamoto's had a tough injury checkered year.
Yeah.
And
they got 3 guys up here.
3 guys: Malone, Gambardella, and Curry. Is that it? And so. That's at the AHL level. That's a hell of a.
That's a line. Yeah, that's a line. Yeah.
That was their hard minutes line at the start of the year. So
Patrick Russell among them. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, they'll get those guys back, and hopefully Patrick Russell and Yamamoto will be healthy. I think I heard Jay Woodcroft on Oilers Now today. In their last game, they had a grand total of 4 forwards who are on NHL contracts playing in the for the Condors. So the rest of them are all kind of AHL guys.
Right.
So, all right. Thanks, Bruce.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.